皆さんこんにちは、ドミニコです。Today we have summary interview with Nozomi sensei. Today was the last day of the class. Tomorrow is graduation. How was it?
It was so fast.
So fast.
So fast. And the program was 3 weeks, but I only teach like 2 weeks and a few days. So it was difficult for me to design all classes to maximize the learning.
Yes, so there is some outcome and some, yes, because not enough time. So.
I changed my teaching plan based on students' opinion. For example, they say they want to know how to count the money or how to read a clock. And I didn't include that contents in my base plan, but I created the material additionally, and they really like it. So paying attention to the students' voice and dealing with them is super important, I think.
Any challenge? What was the biggest challenge?
The most difficult point was to minimize the use of English. I said minimize because I couldn't make it 0, so some parts of English can be useful sometimes, and it was so hard for me to avoid that, like small.
Yes. And so, what was that students maybe they like the most? What do you think they enjoy most?
They like how I use Uno in my classes. So at first I use Uno to memorize a color and number, and then later I use Uno to say the position, like one red is next to blue too, like that.
Now, because I was talking before about some teachers' salaries, but do you know what's the teacher average salary in a language school in Japan?
Like 200万円.
Okay, so we do quick calculation. I like calculations. They are excellent because I believe when teachers are looking for a job, they don't do the basic calculation because what's on the paper, it's not what goes to the bank later on. So let's say they have 200万, yes? Excellent. We divide this by what, 12 months? 12. Oh gosh, that looks so sad. And then this is 1 month. This is the hourly rate. How much is this?
1041 円.
1000 yen per hour. Well, I would say that, and then not getting into details, this is before tax, so this is not what you're actually getting. I was talking before that an average teacher gets 2000 yen per hour, which sounds good, but I don't think you can survive on this. Now, I calculated your hourly rate. Based on 2 days absence, because 2 days you didn't work, I've calculated this one. Is that right? How much is that?
7692 円.
7609. Well, almost 1000 yen. Well, it's a bit big difference, I guess. Now, my point is, for example, why you are getting paid more. So why and when we decide to pay more to the teacher? And there are few main things that we value. The first one is teachers with no license, which is very surprising. If you have a license, you wouldn't get even close to this amount. You would get close to that sen or ni sen yen. And for a very simple reason. Usually, I'm not saying always, usually teachers with license, they think they know everything better, they don't want to change anything, they don't want to learn anything. And that's why they get sen or ni sen yen per hour. In your case, you are willing to listen, to change, to adjust. This is very important for the school. It depends on what kind of students we have. We know what makes students happy. So one of the reason your payment was more was because you have no license, and what's related you are willing to change. And that's very important because we didn't talk. One of the activities you did was students were calling, yes? Students were making phone call to, where did they call?
To the restaurant.
Restaurant, okay. And they are beginner students, yes, very beginners, first time studying Japanese, first time 2 weeks. And they were making phone call. What's the students' feedback?
They felt so much pressure before, but they felt happy to do that real conversation.
Yes, exactly, and they are super happy, and I can say that because from my own experience. And many teachers, they don't want to do this exercise. Those with license usually. Yes, that's why, it's a very big difference. A teacher that is experimenting, trying new things, it's always better teacher. Not everything will always work, but you can see students are happy. Yes? First, maybe they don't want, I don't want to call. But once they make the phone call, it's like, oh, it was fun actually, not that difficult, and very good. Your classes were very interactive, nice. You were using different stuff, games. You were preparing for the classes. Students were happy. That's for us very important. You were not using, let's say, English, very limited English, but yes, with the goal of not using. But that's super good. Not using English, no Romaji. Many teachers use Romaji in English. And no books. And meaning is even monkey can teach with a book. You don't need to be a teacher or anything. You can open the book and follow lesson 1 and just ask students to do. So that's what many teachers do. So usually people get paid based on their value. So if you just can follow the book, you should expect sen or ni sen yen at most per hour, and it will never rise. So that's why your hourly rate is different, and we are very happy with that. The salary is not related to age, license, anything like that. It's related to other things that anyone can do if they are willing to learn, do and change and use in the future. And as I mentioned to you before, in fact, some of the online teachers that I have, the cheapest one is about Gosen yen, and then maybe Ichiman Gurai per hour. None of those teachers, and they are different ages, I would say from early 20s to late 50s. Very different styles of teachers, of teaching, but they have common things. None of them is using English, like zero. Whether I understand something or not, zero English. For very beginners, no beginners, the rule is zero English. Rule number 1. Rule number 2, none of them is using books. Zero. They prepare, depends on the students each. And they are fully booked. And teachers that are licensed using books, being cheap, they always struggle with students. So my point is always to use some of the logic. Tabun, that's all. Thank you for teaching. Hope you had good experience. And we will get Nozomi Sensei will make some videos for you guys, yes, based on the classes. And as a joke or not a joke, if you want to learn something, learn from people that are doing something or making enough money that you want to make. The point is, you should not learn much from person who is making sen yen or nisen yen per hour. You cannot learn from teacher making small money how to be a teacher who is making good money. So if you don't learn this one, then you will stay always on the very low level with no money. So if you want to be above that, you should listen and learn from people that make more money or are in the position, I don't know, the job that you like. So even if some are very young, still you can learn a lot from a young person, and not always the experienced one, but of course no, it depends. So thank you very much guys, and see you next time.